Hello all, this is just a continuation of graphing, specifically histograms. Over here on the left, I have a bunch of raw data, just a bunch of numbers, and we're going to create a histogram using those numbers. And Excel actually has a tool or a capability to just select histogram. So I'm going to select that column and say Insert and recommended charts. And if I go over here to all charts, you see these different options listed, and histogram is one of them. So I'm just going to say OK, and as you can see, it's created a bar chart where the sides are touching, but um, Excel has made an assumption about the number of classes that we have. So this is created as if there are three classes, and the classes being from 43 to 65, 65 to 87, 87 to 109. So it has created it with three classes. Excel refers to these classes as bins. Um, you can see if we were to calculate the class width, we would go from 43 to 65. That's 22, so they're using a class width of 22. But let's assume that we want 5 classes. So we will determine what our class width should be if we were to use 5 classes. Now, if you remember, to calculate a class width, you subtract your minimum value from your maximum value. Our maximum value is 100. So I'm just going to say equal, I need parentheses, 100 minus my minimum and divide it by 5. And that gives me 11.4. And we always round up. So my class width is going to be a 12. So the way you can change this in Excel is you can click on one of your bars. I'm going to double click on that. And I always have to poke around because I'm never sure. I believe we hit this little V here, and we see horizontal axis. And see down here, bin width. So Excel refers to your class as a bin. And remember, we calculated it as 22. That's what it's showing us. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to change the class width to a 12 because that's what I want it to be. And now you can see that it has, now we have 5 classes, which is what I wanted to have looking at this data. The bars are touching. So that is how you can create a histogram using Excel. There is one more thing I want to show you. Let me get rid of this. So let's say instead of dealing with the raw data, I am dealing with my actual frequency distribution. So I've created a frequency distribution, and now I want to create, excuse me, a histogram. And the histogram is just like we did over here. We're going to have 5 classes, 5 bars that we'll see on our histogram. These are the frequencies that we'll see. And we're going to use the midpoint along the x-axis. So I'm just going to highlight this part of the frequency distribution, and we're going to say Insert, and I'm trying to remember where I did this. I think it was in here, and more column charts, and that is going to give me my bar graph with my, I'm going to select this one, say OK. So now I have that bar graph, but what is not correct is the fact that these bars aren't touching. So again, you can double click on one of the bars, and if you look over here under the series options, if this wasn't clicked, you would click it. If it came up like this, you would just click over here, this gap width. That's the area between the bars. So I don't want any area between the bars. So I reduce that to 0, and as you can see, now I have my bars touching. The other thing that doesn't look good though is this all being one blob versus a distinction with the line. So again, over here, with this icon, line, I can say I want a solid line. I think I have to double click first, sorry. I'm going to click this, say a solid line. See the color? This color matches the color of my bar. which means it's not going to show up. So I'm just going to change that to black. And now I have my lines between my bars. So two different ways, a histogram with your raw data, a histogram from your actual frequency distribution, like this. Either way is fine. And I cannot stress enough just to get in there and poke around, play, select different things, and see what you see. So have a good day, and we'll be talking soon.